Let's go to my pal Dan Brouillette, former Energy Secretary. Dan, welcome. Thank you for sitting through that economic seminar. I hope maybe you learned something, and if not, I'm sorry about that.
Always, Larry.
One thing I want to ask you, though, I want to continue. Why is it? I mean, I asked this of Peter Doocy, who is a brilliant reporter, honestly, our White House man, and no one's talking about restoring Project Freedom militarily to reopen the Strait of Hormuz. I don't know. I thought it was a good idea then. I think it's a good idea now. But apparently it's been swallowed up by many other things. Do you have a thought on that? Why don't we just go on ahead and use it?
It's still a good idea, Larry. The president really needs to open up the Strait of Hormuz, and it needs to be done very quickly. I agree with all of those who say that, perhaps we're taking our time, or we're taking too long, I should say, to open up the strait. I think we need to move a little quicker. The American people are paying quite a heavy tax with the price of refined fuels in America today, as they are around the world. So we need to move a little quicker, would be my view. Now, I'm sure there are very good reasons why we're not. I'm not read into the intelligence. I trust the leaders who are in charge today, but nonetheless, patience is beginning to wear thin.
Well, I think so. The president again reiterated today, and I'm very glad of it, no money, no cash for Iran.
Yes.
Sanctions are going to remain. The embargo remains. The blockade remains. All that remains. But that doesn't mean we can't let a couple of hundred tankers get through the Strait of Hormuz, which would have a benign effect on lower energy and hence gasoline prices.
That's exactly right. We have the finest U.S. Navy, the finest Navy in the world, I should say. They're quite capable of making this waterway free and open again. I say let them do it. I understand the president's plan. I think, though, however, he's looking at the longer-term play here, Larry. So we're watching the storage tanks fill up in Iran. They roughly have 120 million barrels of storage available onshore normally. They're down to about 20 to 22 million barrels now. So they're running out of headroom, which means they're going to have to start shutting in production. And what that, is going to entail over a longer period of time, if it lasts too long, is that they can't reopen those wells very easily. It's very difficult once you've shut in this well to have it come back to the production levels that it was prior to the shut-in. And what that means is their long-term economic future is going to be endangered. And I think the president's taking that longer-term view. This blockade is working very, very well. Their exports are down. Their production numbers are down. Their storage is filling up. So they're reaching a danger zone and a point here in which there is no return. And the president knows that, and I think he's playing that card pretty effectively.
And you're getting alternative sources. I read the east-west pipelines from the Saudis are filling up at a pace I think they're up to 5 million barrels a day. At least that's one thing that I read.
That's correct.
We never had that before. The UAE splitting off from OPEC, they're capable of producing 5 million barrels a day, up from some 2 and change. But let me ask you something, Dan. You mentioned the storage issue. I've seen lots and lots of estimates, but they all seem to be too short. Reality is what? The storage problem where they'd have to shut in oil wells in Iran is how long away? How many days, weeks, months? What's your estimate?
It's 4 to 6 weeks is my estimate.
Okay.
The Iranians are very, very good at controlling their production. We saw this, Larry, you saw this in the White House, 2018 to 2020 under the maximum pressure campaign. They were very, very astute at slowing their production so that they didn't have to shut in the wells or run out of storage altogether. But because of this blockade, they've not been able to get that oil off of those tankers and outside of the strait. So now it's a different situation altogether with the blockade. I'd say they're about 4 to 6 weeks away, and then it's the point of no return.
One last one, Dan Brouillette. If you opened up Hormuz, let's say you could get 100 to 150 ships through, tankers, super tankers. Let's just say, all right, I know there's 1,500 of them waiting at the top of the Gulf of Arabia. But if you could get 100 to 150 ships through, how rapidly or slowly would world oil prices come down?
Well, I think we'd see them come down, very quickly. We're already seeing that now with just the announcements. We're seeing 5% moves in the marketplace. And, if actual ships, which is, as you and I talked about in the past, the scorecard for what is really the victory here, or what will be defeat here, if they start coming through that strait, those prices are going to come down pretty quickly.
All right. Dan Brouillette, former Energy Secretary. He knows whereof he speaks. Thank you, Dan. Appreciate it very, very much.
Thank you, Larry.